as we just now had the speaker from Mars, we now will have absolutely wonderful Tijana Tadić. Tijana, hello.
Hello, Anna.
Great to see you. Yeah, so Tijana is Tijana, you know, just mixing up.
It's those Slavic names.
yeah, I know. So anyway, Tijana is from Serbia, and Tijana has got the HR lead role for PepsiCo, South Central Europe and Baltics operation, as well as the Central Europe. So now we're more than happy, you know, to go through Tijana's experiences for the new gut feeling, which is data. Very interesting topic. So please, Tijana, feel free to share your presentation. I'll stop the demonstration.
Let's give it a go, see how this works out. I probably have to swap the views and you should be seeing it now.
Not at the moment, but we're waiting.
No, let's see. Are we on?
No, not yet, I think.
Okay, let's do it again. The joys of technology.
It's okay.
So
let's see.
And swap, and we should be on.
Yeah, we see it. Thank you very much. So I will collect all the questions for you, and certainly you can answer them as many as you can, you know, in the very end. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anna. And I will try to keep track of the chat on my phone, but let's see if it works, if data is all we think it is. So a great pleasure being here with all of you. I have been lucky enough to see a bit of Al's presentation and pretty much the whole of Jana's, and I think that I will be able to fit into the topic and maybe provoke your thinking for the next couple of days, months or years ahead of us, as data is here to stay, and the complexity and the intricacy of human versus data and human integrated with data will only be increasing with the passing of time. So just a bit about myself. Anna did a brilliant job describing my current role, which is an exotic geography covering South Central Europe, Baltics, and Central Europe franchise. So in geographic terms, that's some 23, 24 countries and territories, ranging from the Baltic states in the north, across Czech, Hungary, Slovakia, then the West Balkan states, Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Macedonia, Serbia, Albania, Kosovo, and then a bunch of other interesting geographies such as Israel, West Bank, Gaza, Malta, Cyprus. I'm probably missing a couple, but a great variety of experiences, a great variety of geographies, and a great variety of people. I have been in HR for some 20 plus years. The plus I refuse to reveal. And I have worked in a number of industries, started in British American tobacco, so the tobacco industry, then moved into water, beverages, dairy, confectionery, worked in legal services, logistics and distribution, even publishing and financial advisory over these 20 years. My special areas of passion are diversity and inclusion, and I am very proudly on PepsiCo's Diversity and Inclusion Council for Europe, as well as digital transformation, which is probably what got me to talk to you guys today. I'm on the Digital Transformation Council Europe, and I'm personally very interested in the digital transformation in HR. So going straight to the topic at hand, there's a really good little chart that Gartner put together They composed this massive survey where they asked business leaders of Fortune 500 companies to rate digitalization in terms of priority. And 9 out of 10 business leaders did say that digitalization is a top priority for their business. However, only 1 in 5 HR leaders of the same companies did report that their function was actually driving enterprise impact. So when talking about enterprise impact, we are now pretty much in the pink circle, the operational HR circle, with recruitment and training and development and employee engagement and talent management, et cetera, but where we need to be going, and I think you heard a bit about this during today's presentations, is to enterprise transformation. So talent market sensing, proactive anticipation of market trends, predicting key talent attrition, delivering a digital employee experience, a start to finish digitally enabled positive experience for the employees, and using data in order to properly plan our workforce needs for the future. We will be tackling 3 topics today. The first one is the new talent acquisition journey. Let's talk a bit about whether we are replacing recruiter experience and recruiter gut feeling with an artificial intelligence, with an algorithm, and whether that's necessarily a bad thing or it has potential to be used for the greater good. There is robotization that is taking place as we speak in recruitment. It's giving us a never before seen speed and efficiency, but let's examine whether it's taking something away from us. The second pillar that we're going to be addressing is the use of data in talent management, the integrated approach to data. And I will be talking about PepsiCo experience in this respect, and how PepsiCo is using a scientific approach to data analytics in order to grow its next generation of corporate leaders. And last but not least, an area that's particularly near and dear to my heart, the ethical dilemma of the brave new world of human resources. Everything in our world today is teaching us to be more agile, more relevant, more efficient, but speed must come with a particular care for the ethical part of use of data. And I would like us to examine that a bit and open a discussion on this part. So, seeing whether I can follow the chat on my phone. A question for all of you. Would you trust an algorithm to pick your talent? Feel free to answer in the chat. And Ekaterina, we can sneak in like a 2-minute break while people are answering so you can get some coffee. No, there is a no, a no, a no, not for 100%. Yes and no, not really. Part of the process, 80%. Okay, so there's a predominant no, but there are some people on the chat who think that a part of our talent journey can be trusted to an algorithm. So let me tell you a little story. The story of the misogynistic robot. It was in 2018 that Reuters actually broke a news story. It was an absolute scoop that Amazon's recruitment AI algorithm was biased against women. So what happened? Amazon started working in a small team of their human resources and hiring experts on a complex algorithm that was supposed to help recruiters as their headcount in 3 years had tripled to over 500,000 employees. And they wanted to leverage technology to screen through applications, and in the ideal world to also feed CVs into the algorithm, like feed 100 CVs into the algorithm, and it sends you back 5 candidate profiles and you can go straight to the job offering stage. So sounds amazing, right? But what happened in real life, they realized that the algorithm, which was self-learning based on the data it was fed, and it was fed successful candidate resumes from Amazon over the last 10 years, was starting to develop its own bias against women. So why was that happening, and how was it happening? By default, IT was heavily male-dominated industry. Past employees of Amazon in the IT sector were mostly male. Algorithm was learning based on the data that humans were feeding it. So trained to recognize potentially successful candidates, it started eliminating candidates that came, for example, from female universities, or that had the words women's chess champion in their CVs, or played female water polo, and started also looking through their CVs in a different way. So there were some 50,000 data points that the algorithm was observing, and it was ignoring the basic programming terms that every programmer CV would have, but it was focusing quite heavily on the more, let's say, success-driving adjectives in the CVs. So like driven, delivering. It was terminology that was usually used by male candidates. So once they realized what was going on, they realized that there is absolutely no way that they can fix it, and the whole project was terminated. And this is only one of the stories where it isn't the algorithm that's being biased, but it's the data we feed it. Because if we feed it data from the past, it is safe to assume that it will consider the data we've fed it as the truth and try to replicate the same result every time. And the same result to a company hiring predominantly male programmers would be to hire male programmers. So another interesting story is about data mining. So just thinking a bit about how our traditional recruitment tools were invented. We are all using some personality profiles. We have performed multiple personality tests. Some of us have done MBTI sometime in their career. Somebody has done Hogan. We are also measured for our behavior. So a bunch of tests that were very carefully developed by clinical psychologists and psychiatrists, and that were normalized on a broad scale of millions and millions of profiles, do give us a legitimate reason to use them. However, lately, over the last 5 years or so, even 2 years, data mining has been made so easy to just anyone. If you don't have a locked Instagram profile, if you're tweeting, if you are liking stuff on your Facebook homepage, you are feeding information to a potential system. You are feeding information to someone who might use all your publicly available information to make decisions whether to hire you or not. And there's nothing illegal about that. IBM Watson Personality Insights is a fairly comprehensive insight into someone's personality based on the track that they leave on social media. You can go so far as to look into someone's Netflix preferences to determine what kind of a person they are, or their Spotify playlists. So thinking about it, it is very different knowing what we can find out about people and what we should be looking for when thinking about a potential candidate. For example, you have a candidate and they are a very radical political extremist on their Twitter account. Should you be using that kind of information? Is that something that should be as it is readily available and it's in no way protected by law or by personal preference not to reveal? Should you be using it? Let me see if we have some comments. Feel free. I'll be looking at the chat for the whole time, so feel free to look at it. So what we did when we signed up for all these free services like Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or YouTube, we signed off our privacy and let these algorithms learn about our preferences, thinking that the worst thing that could happen is for us getting the targeted advertising campaigns, for Booking.com to be pushing the same hotel in the same city in Europe to us every single time. But what really is happening, we are leaving a difficult to delete digital footprint that software is increasingly using to create a digital profile on us and recognize whether we are the kind of talent that a particular company would be interested in, or whether we are whether there are some red lights flashing and we are not fitting the company culture of any given company. So it will open a question that we will be discussing later, whether we should be hiring for culture fit or that is the wrong approach. And I would love to hear some of your views on that. Ksenia saying, an insightful book on the topic for anyone interested, Weapons of Math Destruction by Kathy O'Neill. Thank you so much, Ksenia. Another one that I wanted to tell you about, the so-called binary biology. So when using algorithm to screen candidates and to communicate to candidates, and we already have a number of robotic tools that do the initial screening, even do some short interviews, they have been trained to do speech recognition and start even identifying connections between certain physical properties of speech and job performance. So another question opens there. Can a person modify their voice? Can a person control the tone of their voice to make themselves more presentable to a potential recruiter? Does the fact that the algorithm still in a very rudimentary way recognizes our facial expressions influence the decision of the algorithm to recognize us as telling the truth or lying in an interview? Are we all telling the truth in an interview, or are some of us embellishing the truth? So, you know, when asked which languages I speak, I will tell you that I speak basic Portuguese, although I'm learning on Duolingo, and I can't be actually considered a Portuguese speaker. But it's a white lie. It could, however, in a binary world of ones and zeros, be determined as a non-go because I just told a lie. Or my basic facial expressions might not be considered appropriate for the question that I was given by the algorithm, because when I'm nervous, I might frown, I might smile. It's very difficult to limit the extent to which binary biology is going to affect the recruitment and selection process. And, you know, it could go all the way to the genetic level of linking talent and job relating competencies to a biological basis. Are we identifying people with higher emotional intelligence, higher grit, higher entrepreneurship, higher leadership? Does it have a relationship to the way they talk, to the way they carry themselves? You know, you could go as far as to say tall men are better leaders. And there are actual multi-year studies that show, for example, that most American presidents were above average tall. But although these tools might be completely legal to use, the wrong usage of such tools could be completely detrimental to the company's ability to hire diverse talent and limiting our ability to develop individuals' talent. However, I wanted to tell you that it's not all so gloomy in terms of talent guys, and we have some good guys in the market that are doing really amazing things, and I would highly recommend investigating a bit about it. The first good guy in this story is LinkedIn. I don't know how aware you are that LinkedIn lately activated and activate or deactivate candidate photo and name in Recruiter. So when you go to Recruiter, you can disable the possibility of seeing the name and the photo of the candidate. And it gives you the opportunity to look blindly at the profiles of candidates and make a more unbiased decision on the people you want to see. We are doing that lately in PepsiCo with our amazing Dare to Do More program for young graduates. We had a bunch of candidates. They submitted case studies and we were evaluating them based on the quality of their case study. We had no idea what school they went to, what their names were, what their gender was. It was only after we selected the people we want to proceed with that we were told where they come from, who they are, and what their education is. The next one of the good guys is the Algorithmic Justice League. And it's just an amazing group that has a mission to raise awareness about the impacts of AI and the bias that algorithm can have. It was founded by an African-American young woman who was studying at MIT and started doing a project using a basic open source facial recognition software, and then realizing that the software was having a very difficult time recognizing her facial features. However, when she tried it on her white roommate, the software had no issue detecting. So starting with the basic things, you know, facial recognition software is trained on a number, hundreds and thousands of faces, and it's taught to do one thing: see a picture and say whether it's a face or not. However, if you're only fed white male faces, tens of thousands of them, you are highly unlikely to recognize a Black woman as a human. So I encourage you to research more on the Algorithmic Justice League, and I can also share some links on that. There's actually a Netflix documentary that's out that is very interesting, that talks about the subject. So highly recommend, and if anyone is interested, we can share more details after the conference. And the third one is IBM. IBM is doing really amazing things. They have this new tool called the AI 360 Python package. And it's a comprehensive, completely free set of data sets and models that test biases in any software that a developer might be working on. So you feed your algorithm into the AI Fairness 360, and it comes back to you and says, this is biased, this is not, you're on the right track here. Completely open and free, just raising awareness about the fact that if we do not create the algorithm in the right way, it is going to be biased. However, having said all that, if we do it right, I strongly believe that there is a use for artificial intelligence and machine learning in recruitment, and it can help make our lives easier. It can help us reduce bias, for example, through this basic thing of taking off the pictures and the names of the CVs on LinkedIn, a very simple one. It can help us be more effective and efficient in TA processes. If we program it right, it can do the most tedious jobs that humans really don't want to do, like screening thousands of applications. And it can help us enhance the candidate experience by really nurturing the candidate throughout the process, from one point to the other, letting them know where in the process they stand, connecting all our systems so they're feeding data back to the candidate in real time, giving proper feedback to the candidate, stuff that we as humans just don't have the time to do. So in conclusion of this section, I would not shy away from using an algorithm to support our talent acquisition processes, but it's extremely important to do it very carefully and question what we're doing hundreds of times to make sure that we're not just introducing another tool to promote bias. So moving on to a bit of talent management. I have another thought-provoking question for you, and I would like to ask you, would you be able to pick a future leader from a class of 9-year-old children? So while you write something in the chat, I will be drinking some water. More than one? Oh, ho, ho. Yes, yes, yes. 9-year-olds, no brainer. Nice. So let's see, who would you pick? So you have a classroom full of 9-year-olds. We have 5 of them in this picture. So what I'm asking you to do is pick the future CEO, the visionary entrepreneur who will lead thousands, maybe even millions. And, you know, you being an HR expert, I would really like you to stake your reputation on one of these kids. So I'll tell you a bit more about them. This is the smartest kid in class. This is a highly motivated, excellent student, always the one to raise their hand in class, knows all the answers, plays the piano, studies 3 languages, one of them being Mandarin Chinese, is the president of the debate club and of the chess club. Kid number 2, the sports hero. Everybody knows him. They all love him. The real team leader, always a winner, gets the team through tough times, really resilient kid, not a quitter, never gives up. really likes a good challenge. Kid number 3, the troublemaker. Whenever there is a rebellion going on in school, you know, the school lunch is not really great, or we want to protest global warming, or anything that the group of kids wants to fight, this kid will be taking the lead. That's the kid that all the teachers dread. That's the kid who is always at the front stating their mind and really fighting for whatever cause is near and dear to their heart. Or the nerd. The nerd knows more than any other kid you've ever met, gets really excited about black holes, hadron colliders, is kind of socially awkward, but he built his first walking, talking robot out of a clock and the Lego set when he was only 5 years old. Or the entertainer. That's the funny kid in class, the kid that will jump onto the desk and do something really exciting. Everybody wants to be around this kid. They're witty, they're smart, they're a bit naughty, and they're really, really charismatic. So, who would you pick? Having seen all these very precise stereotypes that I just put in front of you. And what would you base that decision on? Would you go with your gut or would you go with data? Looking at the chat. Still no answers on the chat? Because that was a tough one. So meanwhile, while you're contemplating, I will tell you something about how a survey involving 111 talent management heads of multinational and global companies that have a reputation for very sophisticated talent management and leadership development processes indicated that over 80% are really focused on developing high potential talent. 75% assess their high potentials. Over 60% use 360 feedback and personality tools. 50% either identify or confirm talent, and only 39% use assessments for succession or placement of high potential talent. And based on that, I would like to tell you a story about what we are doing in PepsiCo. There is a team, a global team of talent management experts, a team of scientists led by Dr. Alan Church, who spent 7 years developing 5 fundamental assessment principles. So, first principle says that we are all different in our inherent potential and capabilities. Some of them can easily be developed, like leadership behaviors or functional skills, and some of them are very difficult to change and are pretty stable, like personality or cognitive abilities. Principle number 2. The respective significance of these individual factors in predicting future success greatly depends on the stage that somebody is in their career. The third one says, the best approach to a balanced picture of employees' strengths and opportunities is a data-based insight on different competencies that have been gathered from multiple sources. We call that multi-trait, multi-source method. There is not one single leadership trait or one single measurement tool that will provide us with an accurate picture of someone's competencies or potential. Principle number 4. Enhanced self-awareness is what drives behavior change and new skills. And that leads to growth, and that leads to development for both the individual and the organization. So what we want to say here is that transparency is really important. Not only do people stay motivated when they're made aware of their potential, but their motivation levels increase as they receive very specific input on their development opportunities. So we are extremely transparent about our potential assessments. And the principle number 5, the assessment processes can only work if they are integrated with an overall talent management infrastructure and championed by senior leadership. And that's why our leadership blueprint is seriously supported by the entire organization. And these are some of the different focuses that we put on it to ensure that we really center in on the development opportunities. And as a result of all this, a leadership potential blueprint was developed. At the base of it, we have the so-called foundational dimensions. These are the most basic and the most enduring attributes of an individual. So these are either genetically determined or shaped early in life. 2 are core. One is personality, like traits, preferences, orientations, and the other are cognitive capabilities, like raw intelligence, strategic thinking, working with complexity, connecting the dots. And as a result of the fundamental nature of these dimensions, they're quite stable through someone's life. There will not be massive changes, and they are easy to understand and easy to measure with standard tools and measurements. So generally, high potentials are identified as those who are more of a strategic thinker, with personality factors that include interpersonal skills, perhaps above average interpersonal sensitivity and sociability, all mixed in with a high intelligence. Moving to the next layer, we have the growth dimensions. That is someone's orientation towards development and growth. So 2 core factors are learning ability, somebody's openness to learning, openness to feedback, extremely important, and also individual motivation, so ambition, drive, focus on achievement. The concept of employee engagement and organizational commitment would also play into this dimension. So let's say that translated to the old HR jargon, this is our data-based approach to the classic interview question of where do you see yourself in 5 years? So ability to learn, ability to take feedback, engagement, and organizational commitment. And the career dimension, the most widely targeted in talent management and all our talent interventions and programs. There are the traditional leadership competencies here, such as trust building, inspiring others, developing teams, courage. And there are pure functional and technical skills, such as the functional expertise, business and industry know-how. We get this data through a data-based feedback mechanism, which is the 360. We also involve organizational surveys, focus groups, process consultation. So we get a full picture of somebody's potential through that. Bottom line on the PepsiCo approach to data, we love it, we use it. We dedicate a lot of time to understanding data properly and using it as a tool to predict potential. We are extremely open and transparent to our associates about it. And we are focusing on a few, on the future leaders, rather on the many, by really targeting development through this multi-trait approach to competence building. And moving on to the last segment, I saw Jana address this question a bit. But I wanted to ask you, with the last year and a half of COVID really amping up the pace, what was the biggest change that you personally, you as a leader, you as an employee have experienced? So looking forward to seeing your answers in the chat while I drink some more water. Work from home. Yeah, I can relate to that. What about future kid leader? Well, it all depends what kind of a company you need. Each of them could be the one. It's a trick question. Hybrid teams engagement. So while you're thinking better work-life balance, resilience, and change management, I want to trigger some more thinking processes, asking what do these three images have in common? Any ideas? Automation, connecting. Well done, guys. Yeah, the first one is the spinning jenny, which replaced the manual weavers, taking out jobs from tens of thousands of mostly women before the first industrial revolution. The second one is the simple button on an elevator, which before the buttons used to be operated by people who also lost their jobs through the process of automation. And I love the word progress. Yeah, life-changing inventions. And the third one is a tourist agency. Before the times of Booking.com, of TripAdvisor, of Airbnb, we used to go to a travel agent and tell them where we want to go, and they would arrange everything for us. And now we are doing it alone, and we think that we're doing a great job. So all in all, machines have been making jobs obsolete and redundant for centuries. There was a study saying that 400,000 jobs were lost to automation in US factories only from 1990 to 2007. However, there's also good news. Technology creates more jobs than it destroys, mainly outside the industry itself. So we may have lost jobs in the tourist agency industry, but we have won jobs in IT, in the back offices of hundreds and thousands of portals offering services related to the tourist industry. So overall, the net gain, jobs created versus jobs lost, was around almost 16 million new jobs, which is not bad. And talking about upskilling and reskilling, this is exactly what the idea is: taking out manual, repetitive tasks, but reskilling and upskilling these employees to go into more equitable careers. Another question I wanted to touch upon briefly is the AI impact on culture. AI is not going away. It's just a question of the speed of change, and it will impact the way we operate in great ways. But to make the most of it, we need to do a mental shift towards a more of an innovative mindset. So that's the innovation mindset I'm referring to. It's about asking the machine the right question. It's about testing the provided solutions. It's about moving quickly. Entrepreneurship. So being entrepreneurial without the company is going to be critical to really making AI work for us. The second one is collaboration. It's always been pivotal. It's becoming even more important in the world of integration of early AI tools. It's multidisciplinary. We can't deal with a top-down autocratic approach. We need to delayer and work directly with our frontline to facilitate learning, to disrupt, which is a critical component to the success of any tech team that's developing AI for companies. And the third one is customer centricity. AI will provide us with input that will facilitate decision-making and customer handling processes, and it will focus on customer needs, desires, experiences, reinforcing customer centricity, both internally and externally. Imagine a world where you can target your internal communication to the specific associate, to the needs of the specific associate, in the same way that Facebook is targeting you with the latest advertisement for, in my case, a garbage bin for some reason. So think about the experience that your employee will have when AI is supporting their learning experience by offering them learning opportunities that we know are in line with their desired career path. It will massively enhance it. But again, and I cannot stress this enough, it's about the ethical approach to using artificial intelligence in HR. I will not go deeply into this chart because there's a lot of data, but I would strongly encourage you to look into it. There is a place on the web called the Ethical Institute, and it has set forward these 8 key prerequisites for responsible and ethical development of AI that pretty much come down to questioning yourself, re-questioning yourself, and making sure that that the algorithm you are developing is free of bias to an extent that it can be free of bias, that we are retracing our steps and making sure that we perform this integration in the most ethical way, making sure that we don't abuse the right to have access to information on our employees or access to data that our employees have not willingly shared with us for the purposes of their development, their recruitment, or their career growth. And in conclusion, as I see that we are running short on time, I think the future is as bright as we want it to be. And having talked about all the different applications of technology, I would put it down to 3 things. A fairer world of recruitment, where AI can assist us in reducing bias and in ensuring that we hire for talent and not a specific mold of a person that we were used to seeing in our company. Unlocking career opportunities and really digging deep into the career opportunities and development areas of employees, and also upskilling ourselves, ensuring that we understand what is the direction and how we as an HR community can lead this enterprise transformation, because it all starts with culture. If we do not get the culture change that we need, it will in no way be a happy ending. So HR-led enterprise transformation, a fair world of recruitment, and unlocking a world of career opportunities that we were previously not exposed to. That is what I wanted to tell you today.
Tijana, thank you very much. It was absolutely wonderful presentation and very unexpected insights, really. And Just absolutely
My
great link,
pleasure.
I think, before we start with Jill Christensen, whom I'll introduce a bit later, and actually with all the speakers we have heard before. But I also have just a few questions for you before I let you go.
Sure.
So, yeah, sure. There are some questions which our audience asked us just a bit before the conference, and some questions which we see in the chart. So one of the question is, if you're hired just by the skill without taking into account where employee is a good cultural fit, how do you ensure that hired by artificial intellect a good cultural fit? So what would you advise?
I would challenge the cultural fit bit. What is culture? You know, I would say that, yes, we need to share some underlying foundational values, but I don't want you to fit into what my idea of a culture is, because we are growing the culture together. And that is a pitfall that that I see quite often. You know, he would never fit into our team. It's not just the same culture. Hang on, are we talking about the core values, or are we talking about the fact that the candidate looks, feels, talks completely differently, doesn't have formal education, but has amazing work experience and just perceives the world in a different way? I think that's the kind of diversity that we should have. And on the foundational values, yeah, I think we can get a good idea of that through using different data sources. So I would use a mix and ensure that we don't always look for culture fit.
Nice insight. Thank you, Tijana. Also, just a few questions from before. So, what would you be? What would you think? You know, like, what will be we're talking about in the field of human resources in 10 years? You know, so such a vast question, but you can like phrase it and answer it the way you feel.
Ooh, if I knew, I would be rich.
Exactly.
So I would say it's up to us to a great extent. It's up to us to really revolutionize HR. I think we are a necessary partner to the business. And it used to be enough to just understand the hard and harsh reality of the business. But nowadays, it's very important to understand the direction the world is taking as well, to understand the changes that technology is bringing, to understand the impact that automation, machine learning will be bringing us in the years to come. And, you know, the world has to find a way to function by ensuring that an equitable career is available to most people. And not all people are data scientists and highly educated entrepreneurs. A lot of people work in simple manual jobs. You know, think about truck drivers. Self-driving trucks are not 10 years from now. They're probably 5 years from now. And there is an army of people who will be unemployed when that comes. What work could they go into? How will they reskill? And how will we support that reskilling process? I think we can massively support the strategic shift and find ways of ensuring that equitable careers are available to more people rather than few.
Yeah, very deep insights. Thank you very much, Tijana. So just a reminder to our audience that it was Tijana Tadić, our guest from Serbia, who has a HR lead role for PepsiCo, for South Europe and Baltics operation. And again, Tijana, thank you very much for your time with us.